Hi, thank you for tuning in. This is Penny Sansevieri and Amy Cornell, and this is the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast Minisode. And today we're going to talk about the importance of details. And Amy, this was kind of your idea because I know you look at a lot of books every single day.
Yes. And you know, what really spawned it was that we've definitely, since you've had a few events going on, online events this month, Penny, we've had a lot of people reach out to us and take advantage of our custom marketing assessment, which is one of the big reasons why I really dig into some of this stuff. And we get assessments for people from across genres and topics, which is really interesting because we kind of look at the same things over and over again. So it's really interesting to start making comparisons between certain genres and things like that, and what tends to pop up consistently for different authors in the same genre, what some authors get really right, what some genre authors get really right and others struggle with. But the details is something that I always end up coming back to and giving them feedback on when we're looking at their Amazon page, because small things that a lot of authors, and I think a lot of this comes from getting too close to your own work, and we talk about that a lot, Penny, that it's easy to get too close to your own work to realize what a potential buyer really needs to see in order to decide to click buy and spend their money. And so a lot of things that I end up seeing over and over again are series authors. A lot of times series authors forget to call out their series or anything about their series, or the fact that their books can be read as standalones, if that's the case. Those kind of details, strategically worked in and very concisely worked into your book description, can really help turn that browser into a buyer. I would say this is really important for authors that have a series or have multiple books that follow in the same world but can be read independently. I think it's very important to note that in your description. Because that happens to me a lot, where I'll stumble on a book. It's like, well, this looks interesting. And then I see the only info that they've given me is that it's book 3. And I immediately think it's like, well, I just found this author. I definitely haven't read book 1 yet. So I move off the page, when had I known that book 3 could be read independently, I may have actually purchased it. So to kind of explain why these details matter. Another good example is if you write for children, youth. You know, being very clear about the age group that the book is for in the description is really important. And I realize Amazon lets you set those parameters, and those do show up if you use those features that Amazon provides. But honestly, people are busy and they're scanning. And if you make it very easy for a mom shopping for a book for her kindergartner, that this book is exactly in that wheelhouse for kids that age, you've done her job for her. She knows it's the right age group. Click buy. The cover's cute. She's done. You know what I mean? You've made the sale there simply because you've made it very clear that that book is the perfect fit for a child. It's that added connection.
Yeah.
In those details, that makes a big difference. And I would say another huge one that we see a lot is the subtitle. Book titles that are vague or that aren't very clear about what the book genre is, or how the storyline, you know what I mean? When it's too vague and you can't really tell what it's about, that having a detailed, more revealing subtitle it can be really key in keeping somebody on the page long enough to eventually get to that point where they're comfortable buying. Because I will say that's another thing I see a lot, where we'll have people come to us and say, I'm just not getting enough sales. And even I, who look at books all the time, I get to their book page and I read the description and I'm looking at the cover and they don't have a subtitle. And so I'm just looking at the title and I'm thinking, I have no idea what genre this should even be in.
Yeah.
And if you're a reader buying a book, that's going to be a non-starter right away, you know? So I think that's another important detail that authors forget, that you can be too creative or too mysterious or too vague in your title, and you end up being, I use the analogy, you're really the only one participating on that inside joke and nobody else really gets it.
Right.
And if they don't get it, they're not going to spend their money on it. So Again, those details matter. So using your subtitle is another way to communicate those important details that really can help you turn a browser into a buyer are key.
Well, and I think that, the takeaway from this, and I totally agree with that. The takeaway from this is find 2 or 3 details that you've maybe overlooked. One of the things that authors don't do enough of is make the connection for the reader, as you pointed out. We really have to do much more work on Amazon. Yes, optimization is great. Yes, keywords are great, all of that stuff. But you have to do much more work on Amazon to get people's attention for your book. And when somebody, I know that you and I have had this conversation too, when somebody comes to us and says, I don't know why my book's not selling, and let's just say, for example, it has a great cover, a lot of times the devil is in the details. A lot of times it's those details that when they are polished or added or, enhanced, whatever, helps to make that book a much more saleable product.
100%.
So thank you so much for tuning in. I really love these mini-sodes so much. This is Penny Sansevieri and Amy Cornell, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.